Welcome to this tutorial. This tutorial will cover the employee setup. To access the employee setup, head to the Setup menu and choose Employee. The first tab in the employee setup is Contact. Here, we can enter in basic information about any employees listed in STX. To add a new employee, press the New Employee button on the top left corner of the menu. Be sure to fill in the first name, last name, ID, and nickname fields, since these are mandatory for all employees. For the ID, we like to use the employee's initials instead of a numbering system. This makes it a bit easier for the employee to remember and other staff to recognize. The address and emergency contact fields are optional, but a good idea to fill out in case of emergency. Be sure to save any changes you have made. The next tab is the Hours tab, where each employee's work schedule is entered. If your employee has consistent hours each week, you'll enter in the weekly schedule under the regular hours setting. Their schedule is now all set up. If you have an employee that works a different set of hours every other week, we'll need to put one set of hours in as the regular hours, but also add in the other week's schedule as alternate hours. Starting with the next full calendar week, you'll need to designate which weeks have which schedule. REG stands for regular hours, ALT is for alternate hours, Off is to mark an employee off for the whole calendar week, and CLR is to clear, to remove what has been designated before. Once you've set up the rest of the month, press the Apply Hours button to create the schedule for those weeks. You will need to scroll through each calendar month and will need to press the Apply Hours button for each month. Please be careful to ensure that if a month ends partway through a week, that the first week of the next month carries over with the same schedule type. If you need to adjust any specific dates, you can click on the date in the calendar and click the Customize Date button. The hours boxes below that button can be modified to customize that employee's schedule for that date. Each employee will also be placed into a department. If an employee performs services from multiple departments, place them in the department that the majority of their services come from. Be sure to save any changes you have made. Payroll is the next tab after Hours. You'll enter in each employee's hire date in the Hire Date box. Be sure to check the year and make sure that it reads the correct year. In the Termination Date box, you'll enter in the last date of employment for that particular employee. If the date is in the future, their name will show up in bright red. If the date has already passed, and the employee has no future appointments on the calendar, their name will show up in gray. Otherwise, they'll fall off of your employee list. You can still access them by clicking the Show Terminated box. The date of birth and tax ID boxes are optional to fill in. If you are handling your pre-tax payroll through STX, please pay attention to the next few sections. If the employee is being paid an hourly wage, enter the amount into the hourly wage box. The secondary wage box would be used if the employee has other responsibilities that are paid at a different hourly rate. For example, if an employee makes $10 per hour while working at the front desk, we'll enter this amount into the hourly wage box. If the employee also assists you with bookkeeping for a few hours a month, but makes $20 per hour while helping you with this, we'll enter that $20 wage into the secondary wage box. In most cases, secondary wage is not used. If an employee is being paid via salary, this will be the amount per pay period. In the regular pay box, choose a payroll method for that employee. Regular pay is typically designated for service-based pay. Please note that payroll methods should have already been set up in your finance setup. If you are missing a specific method for an employee, you'll need to return to your finance setup and enter the information into the Payroll Methods tab. Please consult the manual with information regarding how to set up various payroll methods. Some businesses will also utilize the other period pay. This will be used if you pay out another type of pay in a different time frame. For example, if you pay your staff bi-weekly based on their hours or service commissions, you'll enter the payroll method for that in the regular pay box. However, if you only pay a retail commission once a month, that method will be entered into the other period pay box. The federal and state withholding boxes are optional to complete and are used to store information about payroll deductions. STX will not calculate any federal or state tax withholdings. If the employee listed as a booth renter and has their own Tempus credit card processing account, enter their merchant ID and merchant key below. If they are accepting tips on their credit card transactions, check the tip line for the electronic payments box. On the top right, there are 3 checkboxes to mark an employee as income producing, a house account, and as an independent contractor. Check the income producing box if the employee is paid based on what they have sold, whether it is products or services. Check the house account box if the employee is not paid based on what they've sold in either products or services. Lastly, you may check the independent contractor box if the employee is an independent contractor. Please note that this has no bearing on how the system works. This is just informational. Be sure to save any changes you have made. The Pictures tab is used to store any photos of the employee that will be used on their booking calendar column. You can upload a photo from a file by pressing the New button at the bottom of the window, locating the file, and clicking Open. After this, be sure to name your photo. If your computer has a webcam, you can press the camera button on the bottom right to take a photo. After this, be sure to name your photo. Be sure to press the camera button after your image has been captured to close out of this feature. The Profile tab is used to store information on this employee. To create a new note, press the New button in the center of the screen and title your note. Place any pertinent information in the box below. Be sure to save any changes you have made. The next tab is Security. To help prevent improper access to the data by employees, it is essential that the business owner contacts us to ensure this is set up properly. In the Services tab, we assign services to anyone who performs them. If you set up your services using multiple price levels, assign the correct price level to that employee. Then, check the Allow Booking This Employee box. If the employee has a dedicated assistant just for themselves, check the number of associates that they have. In the large service box, in the center of the window, you'll see the service groups from your service setup. When you turn down the triangle to the left of the service group, you'll see each service you've set up that belongs in that group. To allow the employee to be booked with a particular service, you'll check the box next to the service. If the employee performs all of the services within a group, you can check the box next to the group. You can customize a service if the employee charges a different amount for the service, spends a different amount of time performing the service than what has been set up, or if the employee has a full-time dedicated assistant to help with their services. If the service needs to be changed, check the Custom box. The selected service detail box below will light up. The price of the service can be customized in the price box. Please note that if the service has a service charge that was set up as a percentage of the service price, you'll need to manually recalculate the dollar amount of the service charge for the new service. Otherwise, the system will deduct the service charge based on the old pricing. The time can be adjusted in the minutes boxes. Be sure to follow your booking interval while customizing times. Otherwise, this will not allow services to book properly. If an assistant handles an interval of a service that the stylist does not need to be present for, uncheck the Book Employee box under this interval, and check the Associate box instead. This will free up the employee to take other clients in this time frame. Be sure to save any changes you have made. The last tab in the Employee Setup is a Goals tab. This tab will be covered during the Goals tutorial. This completes this tutorial. If you have questions or need additional assistance, please contact us.